Off to a good start. She was shaky on this event. In the team competition, only had a 9.375.
And that's surprising. She is potentially very beautiful on this event. She has a high level of difficulty and really shows elegant choreography.
Watch this mount.
Notice how she's very precise in every single moment of this routine. That is beautiful. Pike open layout to a swing down.
You can't help but think the coaches all around the world, when they're talking to their young gymnasts and mentioning how you need to keep your legs straight and your toes pointed, all of them are talking about Lilia Podkopaeva. That's the example of how to do proper technique and form. Oh, good save.
It's a very good save, but anytime a gymnast breaks at the waist over, that's normally a 3/10 of a point deduction, and that is very difficult. I don't know how she spins on her head and has any hair left.
May make for a bad hair day, no?
Keep in mind how close these competitions are. Thousands of a point sometimes separate the medalists. So that was an unfortunate break, but this is a big dismount.
Wow.
Gorgeous full twisting double back with a very impressive landing.
A little shaky there, but otherwise a strong finish for Podkopaeva. Now over to the unevens. Yelena Grosheva. She had a 9.7 in her first event here, the vault. It's a great event for her.
I want you to watch the height of her release moves. This is what is impressive. She is way up above the bar. And she'll perform another one right here. And watch, she finishes the move up above the bar before she regrasps.
Once again, the Russians have such good form and really excellent, clean technique.
Makes for the big scores. She has a double front dismount. It's tough to land. Oh, she is right on with her landings today. It is uncanny that anyone can tell where they are in this type of dismount. It's a double front somersault. You really have to go on feel alone where that floor is. And look at that. She just locks into that position.
The score for Podkopaeva on the beam earlier was a 9.587. The score over on the bars for Grosheva, a 9.825. This is her teammate, Oksana Fabrishnova. Everything she does, all the apparatus, she does with such ease, doesn't she, Kathy?
And such elegance. It looks so effortless as she goes through the routine, which is obviously the goal of gymnasts. She had trouble with this pass in the warm-ups. See if she can do it. 3 layout step outs. Perfectly done.
All of her scores in the preliminary competition were between 9.7 and 9.8. Her first score here was a 9.537 on the vault, so she's a little behind what her schedule normally is.
Keep in mind how devastating just a balance break can be on the balance beam. Of course, you get the deduction for that, but if it's on a skill that you need for your bonus points, if the deduction is too great, you don't get credit. So then you lose another 1/10 of a point that you really needed. Not enough just to stay on the balance beam anymore. They really need to be perfect. Here's a dismount, very difficult. Came up with a great landing.
Now on the uneven bars, this is Ana Maria Bican from Romania. She had a 9.694 on the vault.
This is disappointing part because that's her best event. She really needed a bigger score there, but that's beautiful work. The pirouette right into a release move.
Clean execution.
Very nice dismount. So many of the gymnasts are doing that dismount. The pike open into the layout position.
Interestingly enough, she said her favorite gymnast is her competitor, Dina Kochetkova. We'll be back right after this. Fourth after the first rotation in this women's all-around competition, Shannon Miller on one of her best events.
She has a beautiful combination of difficult elements. Starting with this full over the top, right into a release move. There it is. She's certainly perfected it over the last couple of years. Very nice element. Oh, a little bit off center, but she got it right back on the mark. Final release move before the dismount. And now this is the toughest part for Shannon. It's a double layout. And she's grown 4 inches. And whoa, she's getting used to it though. And she can really stay laid out in that position and pull it all the way around.
How about a smile from Shannon Miller? That's the first smile we've seen all week long. Just like when we saw her in Australia a few months ago at the World Championships. She struggled in practice, but she knows how to pull it out in the meets.
I know we keep talking about growing 4 inches. That is a big deal in gymnastics, especially when you're trying to stay in a laid out position. You're much longer and it's harder to flip fast enough to get around. Look at that, the full turn up above the bar. She knows right where it is.
Go back.
Quick update on scores, a 9.762 for Fabrichnova on the beam. Over on the uneven bars, the score for Ana Maria Bican from Romania was a 9.625. Now getting ready to perform here, Yelena Piskun from Belarus. The score, by the way, was a 9.75 for Shannon Miller over on the bars. That puts her in second place behind Grosheva.
Piskun does just about everything in the book on the balance beam. Incredible difficulty. Watch this. Oh no, I haven't seen her miss all week. That was at least a 0.2 of a point deduction, if not more.
A lot of audiences in the United States are familiar with Yelena Piskun. She's come to the States many times for American Cup competitions and other invitationals.
Oh, what a shame. She's been making that in competition regularly. Certainly one of the most difficult skills you can do on the balance beam. Very risky.
She had a 9.75 in her first event here. The uneven bars, that will totally take her out of the running in the all-around competition. No scores carry over. Everyone starts new life today.
This will certainly put her completely out of the running in the all-around. Pike double back. That's too bad because she was right in there.
Now on the uneven bars, Dina Kochetkova.
Probably the strongest physically in this competition in terms of just outright physical strength.
If she were to score more than a 9.731, she could take the lead over her teammate Grosheva.
The best part of her routine is the transition from low bar to high bar and then back down. She does it with such ease. Huge dismount, double layout. Now we've seen several of the gymnasts perform pike into the layout. She stayed laid out all the way around.
Tight all-around competition here at the Goodwill Games. So let's take a look at the standings after 2 rotations. The score, by the way, for Yelena Piskun was a 9.15. Kochetkova, as I said, is in first place. Grosheva second. Shannon Miller from the United States, a very close third.
In this city of imposing structures, St. Isaac's Cathedral is no shrinking violet. There's immeasurable history inside its 16-foot thick walls, and outside its massive columns, well, there's always something worth tooting your horn about. Welcome back. A significant portion of our coverage tonight is gymnastics, a sport one St. Petersburg native became a superstar in. Yelena Shushanova won 4 Olympic medals in 1988. 6 years later, Shushanova is still a very young woman, but ages removed from a game that used to completely consume her.
She is incredible on this event. She is so strong. Layout, full flip, landing.
That's what we talk about when we talk about sticking a landing.
St. Petersburg's Yelena Shushanova was the women's gymnastics star of the 1986 Goodwill Games. Following the Olympic boycotts of 1980 and 84, the Games reunited the world's best again in Moscow. Shushanova showed a dazzling mix of power and grace that had rarely been seen in women's gymnastics. Her dynamic vaulting and uneven parallel bars work contrasted with ballet-like delicacy on the beam. In Moscow, she won 4 golds and 2 silvers for the Soviet Union and would go on 2 years later to be Olympic all-around champion at Seoul. This is the Army Sports Club in the historic center of St. Petersburg, where Yelena Shushanova worked countless hours to develop her gymnastic skills. This club has always employed the training methods of the old Soviet school of gymnastics, with its emphasis on strength and stamina. With ballet practiced just down the hall, all conditions were in place for Yelena to develop her unique style. She now graces the walls as an inspiration for all to follow. Retired from gymnastics, Yelena, now 25, and her husband, Yuri Bafalov, enjoy the good life at their new dacha north of St. Petersburg. Blessed with Misha, a healthy, spirited son, it's easy to see that things are bright in Lena's world. Just 2.5, Misha already has Dad's love of tools and Mom's feel for sports. Quiet, rustic weekends are now spent with family and friends, enjoying the Russian country life and grilling fresh-caught salmon over a birch fire. It's odd for Lena to have no team name on her back, and she misses sports.
I finished my performances, married, and had a baby. Now I'm going to return to sports. I've started judging competitions, and I'm taking up the type of activities that will help sports, namely gymnastics.
Lena met her husband Yura when she crashed her car and he fixed it. But it's no accident that she has found happiness, for everything she does is marked by the same strength and grace that characterized her gymnastics. Surrounded with a loving family and a promising future, Yelena heads off to another phase of her life, and no doubt, more success. Well, that's really an all-or-nothing sport, Fred. Either you're all the way in or you're totally out. There's no seniors tour for gymnastics.
And apparently it stays in one's blood. Games gymnastics. And a big reason for that success is the performance of Shushanova, who took 4 gold medals and 2 silver ones during the 1986 Games of Moscow. Overall, these Russian athletes have owned these disciplines. The former Soviets doubling the medal totals of all the competitors combined, with China being the only other nation able to crack into the gold medal column at all. And there is reason to think more of the same could be on the way here in St. Petersburg over the next 7 days, with the conclusion of the women tomorrow, then men's and mixed competition to follow.
And just ahead, the grace and daring of the all-around competition continues with the battle for the gold medal. We'll see you back here in St. Petersburg in a moment. Dina